Is this Mikel Arteta waving a white flag?
Is it waving him? Is it him waving a white flag? I don't know what it is. I don't know.
It's a hand of friendship, isn't it? To somebody that, for me, I think it's a joke, really, that he's not closer to the club. Okay. I do feel that it's not every former manager you'll have to say this about, but he was really formative in what we see now with this modern Arsenal, the 22 years he spent at the football club, what we see now, the stadia. It feels really strange that he's not at the table now at the games to enjoy the fruits of his work and to be in and around the current generation of footballers, which can only learn off. There's without doubt. So when I see Arteta sort of asking him in, I don't know if it's in any real proper capacity. I'd like to see that at minimum as within the board or somewhere in the think tank for this great football club. If he's good enough to work for FIFA in football development, why not back at Arsenal? I just think it was the manner at which Arsene Wenger left the football club, and it's about coming to terms with that exit. I would have liked on that exit for him to have gone higher up within the football club. I know it's not everybody's desire when they see Sir Alex Ferguson. Sometimes at Manchester United, it could be intimidating, but if you're a professional type individual or you're a successful person, you're not bothered about who's there. You only embrace that extra help that you're getting, that wisdom from a former manager. So, no, I think it's been long overdue, and it really, I suppose, rests with Arsene Wenger. If he feels he's now got the time that he can offer up, it'd be great to see him back at Arsenal.
Long overdue for you, Sam?
I don't know. I mean, I do worry for Martin that he gets almost like a cult mentality with Arsene Wenger. I expect him to stop drinking the Kool-Aid a bit like Jim Jones, because Wenger was a very influential figure in his time, and time moves on. And there is an argument to suggest that you take the intellectual capital of something and redeploy it somewhere else. And if ever there was a case for somebody to be more commercially involved with Arsenal, I think he's almost a managing director and had the capability to be a managing director of Arsenal because of his economic thinking and his mindset, which is way beyond most football managers. But I think there's a time and a place for managers of a football club to move away and going a different direction. And there is an old adage that works for managers and it works for players and it will work for owners as well, that you never go back, because by going back, things are different, directions of travel have gone. And Martin makes a point, and he has a right to say it because he knows the man better than all of us, that the influence that he had over Arsenal from the time that David Dein brought him in, post Bruce Rioch, post George Graham, and the sea change in Arsenal from what the vision of Arsenal was to what they became, is absolutely phenomenal. But there was also a period of time, a sustained period of time, where it's unarguable that Arsene Wenger and his understanding and his ability to be able to communicate his ideas to the game that was now here had moved on. The notion that he works for FIFA and makes him good enough to work for Arsenal, he's a gun for hire with FIFA. FIFA wanted a particular task, which was a commercial and football justification behind bringing a tournament that most sensible people think should be run every 4 years into a situation where we can run into 2. And when you've got a thinker that comes with the repute of Arsene Wenger, you bring those guys in. And if he subscribes to that view, even better. I don't think that makes him fit for purpose for being at Arsenal. And then you get into Arsenal and you look at the fabric of Arsenal and you say, with someone like Wenger, do you diminish him by bringing him into an environment where he really doesn't get listened to? Because if he's going to have any influence, he needs to be given a position of influence. And then you've got Edu in there and you've got other people in there. So you start to say to yourself, where do these spaces manifest themselves? And why would Wenger want to do it? It's not a charity case, doesn't need it. And I suspect would probably only want to do it if there is something of real merit for Arsene Wenger in it. And I don't mean any shape or form that Arsene Wenger is a mercenary. I'm talking about the calibre of the man and the calibre of his thinking should be into a role where that calibre of thinking can be deployed properly rather than as an element of tokenism.
But isn't the problem as well, Martin, and I understand it where you're coming from, you know, of course he's a legend at the club, and it's wrong in a way that he's still not involved and he hasn't been back to the club since his departure. And there is a lot of inexperience at Arsenal. You got Mikel Arteta, the youngest manager with perhaps the youngest squad in the league as well. You've got Edu, who's pretty new to his side of governance of football right now, as well as Per Mertesacker, who's learning on the job. You've even got the chief executive, who's pretty limited in his experience being at the helm of a football club. So you can see that the benefits of having someone like that figurehead of Arsene Wenger. But you've got Mikel Arteta saying there, I want him close to me. So
he wants that.
Which suggests that you feel as though he'd want him as a sounding board, let's say. But then aren't we all going to be sitting here thinking, is that Arsene Wenger's take? Is that Arsene Wenger's take?
I don't care what people are sitting here thinking.
But then we're questioning Mikel Arteta all the time.
I would do what I think is right for Arsenal Football Club, and I believe.
But then we're going to be questioning the management of Mikel Arteta because it's Arsene Wenger.
No, we're not. We're looking at a tremendous resource that can be there to back up the current manager.
In what capacity?
Well, because he's been through all of these things himself.
I know what he's been through.
He's been through.
I know what he's been through. You don't need to give me his resume. I know what it is. But in what capacity does he go back into Arsenal? In what capacity?
Well, that's not for me to say. That decision's not been made. It's not been. The manager hasn't actually said.
What capacity would you like to see him go back?
I'd like to see him within the board, somewhere in the board, to strengthen the board, to give the board a little bit more power, and balance things up a little bit. That might be tokenism, though. Is it a board that really has a say? I don't really know. Is it down to the owner? But I think these people are actually saying. I mean, we just said about Edu, for instance. Director of football. I think these people could do with that extra bit of wisdom around them. They are a reflection in a way, haven't they? They've all worked under Wenger. And then, that source of information has just suddenly been pulled out. It's a massive void at the football club. And I just feel... I don't have a problem seeing Sir Alex Ferguson sat up in the stand.
You bring him in as a consultant?
No, I just think he's there in around. He goes to the training ground occasionally. To have not been to the training ground, to have done that for 22 years, not go to any of the home games.
You've seen it before. Bill Shankly was the classic case in point.
But that doesn't make it right. Simon, that doesn't make it right.
But it did for Liverpool because Bob Paisley won more.
If Arsenal's truly a family, then bring him back. If this was a family-run business, what would happen? Yeah, if your business was passed to your son, you'd be upstairs, wouldn't you, in a managerial role, passing some of your wisdom on.
It would be passed to my son if he was capable of it. If he wasn't capable of it, it'd be called nepotism, and that would mean that the business would go backwards. So you'd put it in control of people that were capable of it. Now, I'm not suggesting that Wenger isn't, but what you're advocating is...
The hope is one of the family can run the business, no?
Bring him into the role and do what with him? Use him as a sounding board. Wenger is an influencer and somebody that wants to have outcomes attached to his influence, right? So how can you be an influencer that has no outcomes attached to your influence without any authority?
Look, I'm not talking about giving him a major position of power. I'm just talking about having him back again within the building. I believe behind the scenes of the training ground, any evidence of previous successes were taken down, were pictures, pictures, players, and it was kind of whitewashed. I think there's a return to that.
By whom?
I think by a previous psychologist who felt that it was actually putting the current players under pressure. So anyway, there's a return to that now. Arteta wants to reach out to the traditions of the football club, understands the history, and I'm afraid that Arsene Wenger is a massive part of that.
So he should be.
Yes, and I don't understand why he can't be playing some role, maybe the grandfather role, can we call it, that he just sits above and helps from time to time. If it is that Arteta wants to call upon some of that experience, why not? I don't have a problem with it.
Let's just read out a couple of texts and tweets. Ryan says, United being patted on the back for bringing in Rangnick in a consultancy role, but Arsenal being criticised for doing the same with Wenger. A bit unfair, isn't it? I don't think that's what
I think the Wenger role is very different. It's a distant role. It's just one of presence.
And we've also questioned the consultancy role as well with regards to Rangnick. I don't think we were all in favour of that.
No.
It seems like a positive thing that Wenger returns to Arsenal in some capacity. But why is there a negative narrative to Alex Ferguson being in the stands and causing an issue with the team performance at United? That's
because you get a constant comparison to the past.
Well, here's a couple.
So Matt Busby sat in the stand for many years,
and look what United were for 20 years.
Yeah, but it wasn't a problem for Sir Alex Ferguson because he understood that would help him, only help him.
Couple of texts as well. The game has changed. Wenger, as good as he was, football has moved on. Arsenal should look forward, not backwards. All it will do is undermine the current manager. And this is another text that says, it is a joke that the manager is asking for help. Clearly shows that he is out of depth.
Not at all. I don't. Only time will tell if he's out of his depth. I just feel that he understands the history of the club, and if he wants, we all need help, don't we? The intelligent managers are the ones who surround themselves with people that are necessarily better than themselves. It's the only way to improve and get better. And if he feels that Wenger being around helps his players,
every manager needs help.
Of course they do.
Tuchel, Klopp.
Well, you don't think he's got good assistants working with him? He's got the top people.
Well, then that's the assistants, though.
That's exactly right, Martin.
That's different.
But you still need people around you to help you. Do you not have anyone helping you in your role?
Well, I'm not saying that you don't.
Sorry, Nat.
You are.
Sorry,
out of
sorry.
order. I thought we were on the same page here. No, I know what you're saying, but if he hasn't got good assistants, then that's his problem to change.
It's a strength of real management to have a
And Arsene
personality.
Wenger's not
where
going to come in as
you
an
want
assistant.
You surround
Exactly.
yourself with people that might be better than yourself in certain areas, in certain fields. I can't understand why there's so much anger towards bringing Arsene Wenger back to the club. He's not coming back to manage the club. He's just
There's
coming
not
back to
anger.
watch games.
There's not anger, Martin. There's just a different view.
Yeah. Well, Arsenal fans, let us know. Do you want to see Arsene Wenger back? Let us know. You can send us a text at 81089. You can tweet us at talkSPORT. Or you can give us a call 03717 223344. This is talkSPORT.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Thursday morning, 10 till 1. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.